Hi guys, welcome back to the baseline. Thanks for joining me. It's such a beautiful day out there. You ever watch someone throw a punch, miss, and then pretend they meant to scratch their head? That's what this week felt like, I think, for Donald Trump, because the federal court just ruled that his tariffs, his big, bold Liberation Day economic move, they just said it's illegal. Not questionable, not under review. It's unconstitutional overreach. And while that was unfolding, Elon Musk, the same guy who bragged he could slash trillions in government waste, walked away quietly. No fanfare, just gone. So let's ask the question no one wants to really ask. Is this the beginning of the end for Trump's economic power plays? Is this system actually holding? Or are we watching the slow sabotage of the American engine from the inside out? So today on the baseline, we are going to break down the truth. We're not part of a team. We're just going to keep it as fact-based. And if I mess up on the facts, let me know, okay? So we're going to talk about the politics, the lawsuits, and the lies. So the courts, they struck back. Let's start with what really matters, the courts, because this isn't about headlines. It's really about power and who has the right to wield it. This week, the United States Court of International Trade ruled that a set of Trump-era tariffs, the ones he launched with his usual emergency declaration playbook, were unconstitutional. Why? Because, believe it or not, in America, the president can't just rewrite trade law on a whim. We have a thing called the Constitution. And it says tariffs are the job of Congress, not something you slap on allies like Canada and Germany just to score points. So the judges, one was appointed by Ronald Reagan, one by Obama, and the third, you guessed it, it was Trump himself that nominated the judge, and it was unanimous. So this is not a partisan issue. This is not a team, Republican or Democrat. That's structural. That's the system whispering, no, that's excessive overreach, and you have limits. So the real economic damage to all this, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what the overreach actually caused. Because you remember the trade war, steel, aluminum prices, they skyrocket. And American farmers, they got crushed by retaliatory tariffs. Smaller manufacturers were focused to either move jobs overseas or just to shut down. And while all that happened, Trump was tweeting about winning. Meanwhile, economists were begging Congress to step in because these weren't targeted tariffs. They were blanket chaos. And when markets are confused, they really pull back. Even Wall Street, that loyal golden retriever of economic spin, they could not ignore this. So every time Trump whispered tariff, stocks jolted like a dog hearing the word vet. So this ruling, it's not just legal, it's logical. It says, you want to change global economics, you need more than a Sharpie and a slogan. Now, let's go to the other subject that's hitting the Trump administration right now, which is Musk walking away. Let's pivot to the other headline that quietly slipped under the radar, which is Elon Musk. And he's gone, just like that. Apparently, his unofficial stint trying to slash waste in Washington is over. So let's be clear here, though. There's no record of Elon Musk holding a formal government title. And there was never a swearing-in ceremony as it related to Elon Musk. No Senate confirmation, but behind the scenes, this man did have influence, real pull. And he reportedly has been given access to streamline certain agencies. And he gave advice on cost cutting and played cleanup crew on what he called government bloat. At first, he bragged. He told everyone who'd listen, I'm saving billions, this is easy. Then, like a shadow in storm, he vanished. And when he left, he didn't blame Trump directly, but the subtext was pretty loud. He blamed the swamp. He said cutting government waste was harder than building rockets. And suddenly, the guy who sold himself as a disruptor was in fact himself disrupted. So let's call this what it is. Musk thought the government was a broken business. He thought he could fix it like he fixed a factory floor. But he forgot one thing. A democracy is not a startup. You can't fire the Constitution. You can't lay off federal law. And when your brand is all about being the smartest guy in the room, getting crushed by bureaucracy, that is a public relations disaster. So yeah, Musk walked, but not before collecting a few favors, not before getting a close-up look at how the machine really works, and not before grabbing what he really wanted. And now he's gone, leaving behind questions and some confusion. So a pile of headlines Trump would rather not read right now. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about is Trump versus Harvard. And let's shift to a fight that's even more revealing and a lot more dangerous, right? Trump versus Harvard. Now, this one has a lot of different layers because on the surface, it looks like just another squabble. A conservative president going after I didn't really consider them a liberal university, but maybe he does. But dig deeper, and you'll see that this is about control and maybe even revenge, because during Trump's term, he tried to block international students from staying in the United States. If their classes went online during COVID, Harvard and MIT sued him, and they won. So fast forward to now, and the attacks are back, not just on immigration policy, but on the foundation of American education itself. So we're talking threats to pull federal research funding, attempts to block student visas, particularly from China, and a brewing ideological war with one of the world's top universities. So let's be honest, it's not really about policy. It's performative retribution. And the administration saw an institution that challenged it and decided to make them pay. But here's the irony of this whole thing. By doing this, Trump isn't just hurting Harvard, he's hurting America's reputation. Because for decades, United States universities were magnets for the best minds on earth. That's what built Silicon Valley. That's what fueled our innovation. That's why global talent came here instead of Beijing or Berlin. And you cut that off, you don't just lose tuition. You lose soft power. You lose the edge. And you send a message to the world that, hey, we're closed. But that means all that technology, all that innovation, it goes somewhere else. And that's going to be a tough thing to have to deal with. So the system holds for now, right? And here are the million-dollar questions. Is the system holding? Let's look at the scoreboard. Courts struck down the tariffs, so that's a loss. Harvard beat the Trump administration in court. International students got a reprieve, and Musk's exit exposed the limits of tech saviors in politics. So yeah, the structure held this time. But let's not get too comfortable, because the damage wasn't just material, it was institutional. Trust has been eroded, and allies are questioning us like they never have before. Markets panicked. They seem to be all right for the moment, but they did panic. And worst of all, Americans got used to chaos. And when chaos becomes normal, democracy does start to become a bit fragile. So you see, the courts shouldn't be our last line of defense. They should be the final confirmation that everything else already worked. But in this cycle, they were the only adults in the room. Congress, absolutely silent. The public were as divided as ever. And the executive branch, it seems to be completely out of control. So yes, the system held, but barely. And we can only hope that it keeps holding. America does have a great structure as long as I think we do follow the Constitution. Now, the emotional payoff is this. Let me end with this. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Power doesn't corrupt, it reveals. And what we've seen revealed this week in courts, in Elon Musk's exit, in the war on Harvard, is a truth most people are sometimes afraid to say out loud. This isn't just about Trump. It's not even about Musk. It's about a system that rewards performative chaos over thoughtful leadership, that confuses strength with noise, that puts headlines over human beings. And if we don't check it, if we don't reclaim what actually matters, we're going to lose more than court battles. We're going to lose our way. So here's the challenge. I hope you guys just don't scroll or don't meme. You know, we got to learn and speak up and show up, because this fight, it's not over. The next wave of tariff, tech billionaires, and university battles, they're already brewing. But now you know the playbook, you know the system, and most importantly, you know the truth. So again, guys, so important, right? Own your own mind, own your own voice, own your future, because nobody else is going to do it for you or for me or for anyone. So that's it for today on The Baseline. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And we'll catch you guys on the next round. Okay, cheers, everybody.